Today. We also ask your blessings upon our troops and all other persons from the United States of America that's in harm's way. Father, we ask your blessings upon our senior citizens, and we certainly ask your blessings upon our youth of this nation and the world. Father, we ask for a special blessing relative to the Ebola situation and other diseases that are scribed in this earth. These and other blessings we ask in your Son's Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Are there any agenda additions?
I haven't seen or heard of any agenda additions, so we'll move to the next item.
Next, we move to citizen comments.
Any citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward it to myself or the clerk of the commission. Comments by any citizens will be limited to 3 minutes. I do not have any comment cards. Do you have any, Mr. Hopkins?
Sir, I do not.
We'll move to the next item.
Next we move to visitors. Mr. Jeffrey K. Bean, Director of Staff, Headquarters, Air Force Global Strike Command, Barksdale Air Force Base.
Mr. Bean, present?
Yes, he is.
How you doing, Mr. Bean? If you can come on up to the podium and give us your name and address, and you can proceed with your presentation.
Thanks, sir.
Commissioner Epperson? I'm sorry.
Chairman, if I may, I would like to state that I requested a representative from Barksdale Air Force Base, who is Mr. Bean today, to give us an update as to, I think there's a possibility of restructuring of the Air Force as well as other military establishments in the area, and also keeping in line with what we want to do, working with our veterans and our military throughout our respective parishes and our local governments, to let everyone know the importance of the economic and social benefit that these military establishments, our veterans, posts and bases bring to our parishes, our cities, as well as the state. And also, after this presentation, we'd like for him to let us know if there's anything that we can do to minimize what would possibly be happening due to, I guess, fiscal constraints or whatever those things may be. We're certainly willing and able to do so as a local government, as well as members of our state and national associations.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate you having him here today. Mr. Bean, go ahead.
Mr. President, members of the Commission, my name is Jeff Bean. I'm Director of Staff at Air Force Global Strike Command. I do reside at Barksdale Air Force Base in this position. I'd like to thank Mr. Epperson for the invitation to join the Commission today and get to update you a little bit about what is going on. And I'll speak from the Global Strike Command standpoint, because that does it does have bearing on what you all are interested in, is because it does have a great deal of impact on Barksdale, since Barksdale serves as our headquarters home. First, I'd like to point out that this week we'll celebrate the 5th anniversary of the stand-up of the Air Force's newest major command, Air Force Global Strike Command, here at Barksdale Air Force Base, Louisiana. This is the first time since 1992, when we established the Strategic Air Command, that the Air Force brought together under one major command all of its nuclear assets. Those are the intercontinental ballistic missiles and the nuclear capable bombers. So that's that. To us, we have accomplished a lot over the last 5 years, to include a complete bed down of the headquarters at Barksdale. We just in June moved the headquarters elements into their final to their permanent positions. We completed a lot of renovation of the historic buildings, headquarters buildings at Barksdale, to be able to house Global Strike Command. This month, by the end of this month, we will complete relocation of headquarters 8th Air Force, of course, which has been here at Barksdale since 1975. But we conducted a major renovation of one of the campus areas, one of the historic buildings, to accommodate headquarters 8th Air Force, the 608th Air and Space Operations Center, and Task Force 204. So that is, from that standpoint, that's a lot of major work that's taken place at Barksdale to be able to accommodate our headquarters. Over the past 5 years, the bases that and the missions that we're responsible for encompass essentially 5 major Air Force installations here at Barksdale, up at Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri, Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota, F.E. Warren Air Force Base, Wyoming, and Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Falls, Montana. We also have a large flight test element for the ICBM force that's out at Vandenberg Air Force Base, California. Over the past 5 years, we've seen operational readiness of all our forces improve dramatically in that time, so we have a lot to be able to show for. General Wilson, as our third commander, has been able to advance a lot of initiatives. You've heard about several of those recently as the Air Force has moved to add some manpower positions to our command at large, predominantly to our field units, and that is approximately 1,100 positions. Those include operations, maintenance, and security forces is the largest number of that. Here at Barksdale specifically, you've also heard us talk about initiatives having to do with downsizing of the United States Air Force. Through one of those initiatives, the Air Force is expecting to reduce approximately 3,400 manpower billets across the United States Air Force through FY15. Our portion of that is also has to do with an effort. I think many of you are aware that the Secretary of Defense, near simultaneous with our, or closely aligned to when we announced the cuts in the Air Force, mandated that all the services reduce their management headquarters by 20%, and that those headquarters being those that reside for the Air Force at the numbered Air Force level and above. So that's where I'd like to talk just a little bit about today, because our headquarters numbers do affect here at Barksdale. What I will tell you out of that is that Air Force Global Strike Command's share of that management headquarters reduction and what that means for us in Global Strike Command with total reductions is about 166 billets. Through several management actions on the part of our headquarters, we have been able to work to what we believe will minimize the impact of those 166 losses. We look at vacant positions when we can, and this does include military and civilian. For those of you who are not aware, our headquarters at Barksdale is about one-third civilian, one-third officer, one-third enlisted. We've got a little over 900 authorizations and equally divided about a third there to give you a bit of a perspective. So what we believe this is going to come down to, Barksdale's share of that is approximately 100 positions in this to fulfill our requirements of this cut that we will be a combined military and civilian losses. Where possible, again, we're going to maximize the use of vacant positions to fill that. For any military cuts that are taken, the actual movement of those folks will be over time and attrition. So whether the member, until they come up for assignment next, or should they separate or retire. So that is the basics on upcoming management reorganization and reductions to our headquarters. I'll also touch on one thing that's very significant, I think that most of you all have also heard about, and that is the Secretary of the Air Force announcing that this major Air Command will assume four-star status sometime in the future. I will mention that we do not know when that timing will be. This does require congressional action, but we have that we do have that stated. That has been reinforced by several reports here of late, which include Secretary of Defense internal and external reviews that endorse that position. So with that, I'll stop talking a minute and give any opportunity for questions, and hopefully I can answer. And if I can't, I will be obliged and happy to get back to you with that answer.
Commissioner Epperson?
I'd just like to state that figure that you read out is certainly elated to me, because I thought it'd be a larger number.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you're aware of the situation at Fort Polk. I think you're looking at about 5,600 reduction. And we have some information relative to that, but that is certainly enlightening. And the reason that we want you to come today, and I think it's the second year we've had someone from Barksdale come, so they can keep us informed as to what's going on. We're going to let you all know that we are your partners on both sides of the river. Anything that we can do to continue to make sure that the base is viable and prosperous and growing. Not only the military personnel there, but the dependents as well, because they are all an important social fabric of this community.
Yes,
and we really appreciate the economic and social benefits that they bring to this area. And also, if you would, I understand we got a new second bomb wing commander.
Yes, sir.
Forgive me for getting her name, but
Colonel Goodwin. Kristen
Colonel
Goodwin.
Goodman, that's right. So would you convey our congratulations to her and tell her she's welcome to come over, give us a call, and we'd like for her to come over and introduce herself.
Yes, sir. I'll be
Anytime that
happy.
she feel that's presentable.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So, and let me just say on the point, I would like to echo that first point that you made. We have, again, through some very important actions, and I think I'll also cite the leadership of our Commander General Wilson. We have absolutely been able to protect and minimize the impact to this nuclear command. And there have been there's several important reasons that he has been able to articulate that helped us advocate that position to minimize the impact of those losses. I'll also just say on the community side of that, as a former career Air Force officer who was stationed here on active duty, absolutely feel that. Certainly being back now as a civilian and having now 3 children to go through schools here and to be a part of the community. So, and I've got a senior this year at Parkway, so that part's exciting for us. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too like to echo the sentiments Commissioner Epperson said about you coming and informing us of the significant impact that that the Barksdale has on our community. You did mention, I think you said 100 jobs here?
Yes, sir. That's now, and this will be. We have got to get the final tallies and recommendations. As I mentioned, there are some. We're going to work very hard to take advantage of vacant billets where we can, but our count is I think we've got 101 is where we think the losses are going to be here at Barksdale over the next couple of years.
Now, is that GS or civilian jobs? Or
This will be civilian and military. That's a combined loss, and I don't have the breakdown yet because we haven't identified all the billets of how many military and how many will be civilian.
But here again, as Ken said, we know that you're a good corporate citizen, and you're part of our community, you're part of the family, the fabric of our community. We know the significant economic impact it has on our community. And we definitely want to go on record, and Ken, I think you have resolutions today to support anything, any changes that we made, not only to Barksdale, but I come from Fort Polk, Louisiana. That's where I spent my last tour of duty. It's a military police 55102 at Fort Polk. So I do understand the impact it has down there in Leesville.
Yes, sir.
Fort Polk as well, and I do understand the impact that Barksdale Air Force Base has in Bossier City. So we definitely want to let you know that we're on your side. And we hope to minimize that even from 100, or even to Barksdale, even lowering that number, to ensure that we protect our bases here in Louisiana. And definitely want to say that we welcome you here and hope we continue to be team player as you've been in the past. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. I will, again, just echo the point, we have a lot of residents at Barksdale that are Bossier Parish, as well as Caddo Parish residents. They reside here. They are fully integrated and involved in the community, and this community goes out of its way to welcome the military family here. And Mr. President, again, thank you on behalf of the Barksdale to be able to come out here, and we thank you for your support, and I will convey to Colonel Goodwin Commissioner Epperson's invitation.
I have a couple other commissioners. Commissioner Escaday?
You said you were optimistic that we will be granted 4-star command eventually.
Yes, sir.
What impact would that have on the base's operations?
Yeah. Sir, that's a very good question, because and that is to be determined. But with
Generally a good thing, though.
that will be a good thing, and I think as we look at the Air Force, I know will look at if there are other elements of the nuclear enterprise at large that we do not have responsibility over that we should. So, so that is a very fair question, and I think a very optimistic one. And any future impacts to what additional responsibilities the command might take over as a result of becoming 4-star and its impact on the headquarters would all be determined at a future date.
But that 4-star command would, I mean, logically make the base an even greater asset than it is, secure it and protect it from future cuts even more. I mean, it solidifies its place. It puts us at a better advantage in the future. Does it not? I mean, because in this day of budget constraints and everything, and closing down and shuttering down, most things are reducing, not expanding. So it bodes well to the status of the base and the way it is viewed, by the Air Force in general, that they would want to elevate its status. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I just think it's a great thing for our future. It's a security blanket, so to speak.
Well, sir, I will say that I do believe it bodes very well for the future and that of the base, but I will caution, like everything else to do with any future base realignment and closure, that I don't. We just have to. I would encourage the community to always keep those kind of things in mind. But I have to say, certainly the actions that this community takes to seek to improve the condition for the base, to try to avoid any of concerns that a future look might have, I think also bodes very well, whether we were a 4-star status or not.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Lynn?
Mr. Bean, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak before our commission today, and I just want you to know if there's ever anything that I can do, or anybody, I guess, with the Parish Commission to assist you. We recognize that the river connects us, and we're all partners in this together, and value Barksdale Air Force Base for everything that they do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orlando. Appreciate that.
Mr. Bean, I'd say thank you for coming here today. We appreciate you coming and giving us an update. Wish you the best of luck. If you need anything, give us a holler, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Move on to, I guess, administrative report. Is that correct?
Next, we'll move to administration report.
Dr. Wilson?
Yeah, President Dominique and Commissioners, good afternoon. We have quite a bit of stuff to cover today, but we'll try to be brief as we can. We were notified last Thursday by Mr. Grant Sluter that we have a requirement by the SEC, Security Exchange Commission, to do some reporting. And we have a proposed resolution that we need to adopt, which give us the authorization, Erica, to make the determination with respect to bond reporting. So, Ms. Erica, you want to cover a little more details on that, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioners, Annually, we're required to submit certain continuing disclosure information to the SEC, primarily our financial statements and our budget. The SEC recently did an audit to determine if local governments as well as the state, any public bodies that issue bonds have to do this continuing disclosure. They determined that several agencies were not complying with the continuing disclosure, and so they came up with what they call the Municipalities Continuing Disclosure Cooperative Initiative, meaning that...
Can I ask a question? Is this on our agenda?
Well,
No, sir, it will be at the next work session, where we kind of giving you a forewarning of what's to come.
So
you can read it before we get to that point.
So it's not here today or not here Thursday, it'll be the following work session?
That's correct, that's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
sir, we just want to give you...
Right, we've given you the draft resolution of essentially what it has to say, but we have to get the authorization from the commission in order to allow us to self-report if we have any issues. We don't feel like we have any issues, but we have to go through the process to make sure that we have provided all our continuing disclosure information to the SEC. Because of the look-back period, this could go back well past 10 years as to whether or not we've submitted all the documents that we were required to submit.
As far as we know, we are in full compliance on all that occurred in the last 10, 15 years, but it could go back to when CCC was bonded. But we believe that everything was done right, but we have to follow this SEC requirement. Okay.
Dr. Wilson, next item.
Yes, sir. I have. Thank you, Ms. Erica. Just want to make you aware that we received an invitation from the Chancellor of Southern University. They're having a small ceremony on August 11th at 8:30 a.m. in the Jesse Stone Lecture Hall, and they're asking us to be present. This is because the Commission is investing $350,000 in their program, in the aerospace program, and they like to publicly acknowledge the fact that we are their partners and we are providing this funding source. So, on August 11th at 8:30 a.m., they're inviting us to come to take part in that, and I've already spoken to Commissioner Johnson, and he and I will definitely be there. But we'd like to extend an invitation to all the commissioners. If you're available, he would like to see you there.
That's a brother-in-law.
Business. Business. Okay, next item, commissioners, we have an update on our Northwest Louisiana Human Services District. Najari Kamara. Najeri Kamara. I'm sorry, Ms. Kamara, if I mispronounced your name. But please come forward and give us your presentation.
Mr. Doug Efferson, too, is that here too?
Yeah, he's here too.
How y'all doing?
Good afternoon, Mr. President and other members of the Parish Commission. My name is Najiri Kamara, and I do bring you greetings from the Northwest Louisiana Human Services District, our board chair being Dee Fowler and our vice chair, Mr. Fred Jones from DeSoto Parish. We've just come today to bring to you a brief update. I want to express my appreciation to you all for having been granted the opportunity to serve as the Caddo representative on this Human Service District Board. The Human Service District Board, as you may be well aware, was enacted by Act 373 of 2008, where the state itself was decentralizing its governance of certain human services, more particularly developmental disability services, mental health services, and addictions services. And my appointment was for a 2-year period, and certainly we do appreciate that. I served, once the board originally began, I served a 6-month period as the interim secretary for that board, and then once the board itself became official, and our documents were adopted and accepted by the state, I was voted as secretary in February of 2012. My term just recently ended here in June, and we wanted again to bring an update to you. I have Mr. Efferson here. He came probably last year. We were coming to introduce you to him, but our board has had some, we've had a long time of getting this board up and running. It in fact is a working board. There have been heavy responsibilities placed on those persons that are serving, and a lot of work has been involved. But we're happy to have been able to meet all of the phase requirements of the state to where we're now official, and we're operating under a memorandum of understanding, and wanted to let this commission know as well if there are other individuals that you may come in contact with that have some skill set or expertise in the area of developmental disabilities, mental health, or addictions. We have, our board needs to have a Citizens Academy for other individuals who may be interested in serving on that board. It'll be good for them to be aware. We've had many parishes have made appointments to individuals who, once they got on the board and they saw the amount of work that was involved, they saw the intricacy of the details and the knowledge base that was needed in order to govern these services, they kind of rolled off. So in order to protect the board and the continuity of the the governance and oversight, we want other citizens to be, identified and to attend some of those meetings to be abreast of what's actually going on in the district. And as I stated, I've served 2-year time period, and it's time for my service to be up. It doesn't necessarily have to be up. It's up to this board if you want to vote to extend my service on the board. And lastly, I do have Mr. Efferson here. He actually speaks on behalf of the district itself to respond to any specific questions that any of you may have.
He ain't got nothing to say.
Cover the bases. No, I'd like to say, you may see some vehicles driving around town with the logo, Northwest Louisiana Human Services District. Used to be state vehicles, and now part of the decentralization is the look that we have on that. Last year I did report to y'all that we were having a transition or shadow year. We could have succeeded or failed. We are happy to say, like our board member said, that we have in October succeeded in meeting all the requirements for phase 2, and in May phase 3. We have taken over all of the human resource purchasing, contracting services for the services she mentioned. So we started our first year as an independent service district July 1st of this year. And I think, like Ms. Najeri said, the board's been very happy with the representation on the board, and we hope that she is reappointed as our representative for Caddo Parish for another term. Any questions for me about our district?
We do have a Commissioner Lynn.
I just wanted to say that the parish first was able to work with Najeri Kamara with at least since I've been elected, when we audited the juvenile detention facility and really made a lot of positive changes with that, and has served on our children youth planning board as a citizen member, as I believe the only citizen member on that board. And when I had the position that Commissioner Williams has, she was very, very active in that role, and I as easily recognized as an exemplary Caddo Parish citizen. Anyway, thank you for everything you've done in the past. That's all.
Okay, Ms. Kamari?
Yes,
When
sir.
is your term in?
This month?
August 10th, 2014.
So you're up for reappointment then? Okay.
Yes, and she's eligible for a second term.
Okay, let's see.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, when that, maybe later on, in maybe the next meeting, where I'd like to bring it up under new business to reappoint her to that position. She was so duty like to serve. Also, I too want to go on record. She and I went to school together. She's been an advocate for poor people and people of all kind of disabilities, and ain't just mental health. She's a great advocate in the community, a community activist involved deeply in the community, served on a great neighborhood association. They all partnership. She does a great job, so quite natural to want somebody who has a love and a compassion and passion for people. We have too many people serving in office, preaching in churches that don't have compassion for people. So we need to get back to having compassion to serve it and doing God's work. Our Father's work is serving and helping people that are hurting, and we need to continue to possess that type of behavior. So quite naturally, you would love to serve back on the board. We would love to have you back. And if it's the pleasure and the wishes of this body to want to have you serve back, I would ask that somewhere between now and the next meeting that we put a resolution together. Maybe I can bring it on a new business or sometime, maybe at the next meeting.
Be added to the next meeting, probably
next
under new
meeting?
business, and do it by minutes. Just
Okay.
put it- We don't have to do a resolution.
So at the next meeting, we will bring it on new business to have maybe consider you, putting you back on the board. But in the meantime, we appreciate your contribution to public service and to serving in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Camara and Mr. Jefferson, appreciate y'all coming here today, so thank y'all. Keep up the good work.
Cox?
Anytime. Thank you now.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Cox has one thing, I'm sorry.
I just thought you was gonna overlook me.
Okay.
You said her term is up August 8th,
Yeah.
August 10th.
August 10th?
She was appointed August 10th, 2010, and it's up for another, and there was a partial term and then first term and now her second term.
Question to legal and Mr. President, can we do this on Thursday? Because that, if we wait
I think we
another,
could, I think we could add it to the agenda.
On
if,
Thursday.
You know, we'll have to have 100% approval, or we could expand the agenda today.
We could.
we could.
By law, she stays on the board until.
Yeah, so she does.
she's replaced.
She does stay on, I would think, am I correct, Donna? She stays on the board until she's replaced anyway, is that correct?
Well, I'm not real sure because it sounds like what we're dealing with is an expiration of her term, that there may actually be a lapse between that August 10th date and the time she would be reappointed by the next meeting. So to make sure that there's not a gap, it would be better to do it before the
Okay, we'll just do it Thursday.
August 10th.
And,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I was going to say, yes, just, all we really need is something in the minutes or something on letterhead that says she was reappointed.
Okay.
That'll take care of it. Thank
I
you.
would like to, at what such time you declare that official, Mr. President, I would like to consider that at that.
We'll just add it under new business.
All right, thank you.
Thursday.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm done, thank you.
Dr. Wilson, thank y'all for coming.
Hi, Nar.
Yes, sir, I have several more items.
No, I'm trying to get through there because I know the.
Okay,
a lot of stuff.
Commissioners, just most recently, on the 24th of July, the 28th and 30th of July, DHH had informed us of a potential water issue relative to East Morningsport and East Cold water system that potentially affect a lot of citizens in that area because of the rapid deterioration in the existing system at East Morningsport. So what I like to do at this time, because it's critical, because we could potentially have another Wells Island situation in our hands.
Watch out.
If we, perhaps we need to react. So Ken, come on up and let the commissioners know what's going on with
I'll
that.
let y'all, I think we need to, that is, both of these are in my district, and just let y'all know, these are not water districts per se. These are not anything that are a government entity. They are not appointed members. It's basically, I guess, run by. and they use
Non-profit.
Private water systems, yeah.
The private nonprofit water systems, that's correct.
Right. And the first meeting we had was with Commission President Dominic, Representative Jim Morris, Randy Lucky, and Ken Ward, and the DHH officials. We met first to discuss this issue. Then we met again, we met with the Mayor of Blanchard last Thursday to talk about it, the attorneys, to talk about the problem at hand. So Ken, if you can take up there, I appreciate it.
You did a pretty good synopsis there, Dr. Wilson. Just pretty much catching up. The biggest problem we're looking at now will be East Morningsport. There are 83 customers. Currently they're about to lose a receivership, which means that DHH has turned them over to the city of Morningsport, and Morningsport has been kind of halfway running it.
It's East Cove.
I take that's East Cove. East Morningsport's been run. They have their own little office and their system manager. Well, they all stepped away, and right now there's a series of residents that are doing it amongst themselves. They've given us a deadline. That actually was this past weekend. I have not heard if they've walked out yet this weekend or not. But supposedly they're scheduled any day to walk out, quit taking the bills, quit paying the bills, and quit running the system. The system runs off of surface water out of Caddo Lake. They treat it in a very haphazard plant, and then they push it out through a distribution system to their 83 customers. So any day now, this could become a departmental issue. The DHH is prepared to, if they can't find a new receivership in the meantime, they're prepared to shut the system down and issue 83 eviction notices. Which at that point in time, they'll be coming, the residents will be knocking on our door to try to determine what we can do to solve that or stop that. We have negotiated with the USDA let me back up a little bit. That East Morgansport owns $150,000 of debt to the USDA. Blanchard they've been to Blanchard. Town of Blanchard said, well, we'll take the system, but we don't want to pay a penny. We want that USDA debt to go away, and we'll accept the system and we'll run it. The USDA, we've met with them. They've come back and said, well, that's just not acceptable. I said, we'll continue to go through repossession prior to doing that. Blanchard said, that's fine. We'll take the chance that you go through repossession, and then at the end of the day, nobody will bid on it, and we'll get it for nothing, pennies on the dollar anyhow. We've stepped in because we can't wait that long. That this could become an issue today, tomorrow, a week from now. So we've stepped in and we've visited with the USDA. We've pretty much made them an offer that I hope that they can't refuse of $27,500 for that $150,000 of debt. We've then in turn went back to Blanchard and said, okay, we've negotiated this debt down to you that we thought was a very fair price. If we can get this approved by USDA, would the city of Blanchard be willing to pay the $27,500 to better accept this project, raise the rates to their acceptable rate, and move forward? Blanchard's having a meeting today at 6:30 to discuss that with their commission. I don't know what they're called, town aldermen, to determine if they can receive 3 votes on that. I don't know how it's going to go today, but that's kind of the story. I think the Blanchard still is pretty much going to hold pat of not paying the $27,500. I do think, though, after visiting with DHH on Friday and over the weekend, that they do have a $100,000 bond issued through the Department of Health and Hospitals that's supposed to go to takeover of the East Morgansport water system. I haven't heard back if Blanchard feels the same way, that bond is able to do that or not. So there's still some contention there. There's still some little contention about where the water lines rely in easements or parish right-of-ways. We're still trying to work through that. And I think the last problem is possibly some money that the Department of Louisiana State DOTD used to relocate some water lines that was in their area. We're kind of working through that as well. I think that's going to resolve itself. So that's kind of where we sit for right this moment. Looking forward to the 6:30 meeting today with the Town of Blanchard, and waiting to hear back and probably sometime next week on the USDA if they'll accept our $27,500 offer or not.
So basically, if this offer is accepted, if Blanchard will pay it, then hopefully they'll start producing water and take over, I guess, both of these systems?
The East Cove is a totally different situation there. They have a situation with Mr. Miller out there that they have to resolve.
Okay, so they're still working on that one.
That's going to go through court. That's from what we were told by their attorneys, Mr. Arsenault, that they were going down a path that seems like those 183 customers or 186 customers will work itself out in time. They have an operator that's still there. They're still producing quality water. It's the East Morgansport now that could walk out any day.
When you say 83 customers, that's not necessarily how many people out there. That's 83.
You multiply that by 2.5, and you usually get your that's customers.
A couple hundred. Okay. Right. And I know that we saw that water tank. It looks like it's barely just.
It's on its last leg, sir. It
just looks like it's fixing to burst and just water go everywhere. Right. Leaking, water spewing everywhere. So
that's another one of those unknowns that it could happen today. And the people that are operating will just walk away from it and say, we're out of it, we're done.
And it could possibly fall back and, well, we're going to be getting a lot of phone calls and issues coming up too.
That's correct. Yeah, and President Dominic, we did start the offer with $100. And after the guys finished laughing at us, we had to go up to something realistic. Because what they typically get is anywhere from $100 to $1,000 per customer of salvage value and existing loan debt ratio. But we started very low, and we got to a point that everybody could live with, and Blanchard felt that they can live with that as well. So hopefully that will work out for everybody.
Good. Commissioner Williams, did you have anything, or was that from?
Well, I just, this water problem in certain areas is a very touchy subject with me, and I hope that we don't get bogged down in turf and politics when it comes to people that are hurting and need water every day. That we continue in negotiation and maybe an MOU of understanding. At the meantime, let's fix the problem and solve the people problem. And entering some type of memorandum of understanding with these two entities regarding the water. That's old infrastructure. It's old, it's outdated. It's going to crumble and break. And while we're sitting here talking, it may fall down today. So at the same time, that area of town is growing. That's going to be a return on investment down the road, because that's going to be a bigger tax base. So we can't look at is it not a worthwhile investment now? Let's look at down the road what's going to happen in I-49 moving in that direction. So we need to ease people pain at this time, because we know them little towns don't have the resources. It's not unusual for us to enter some type of governmental agreement and help bail people out during their despair moment. And this is one of those moments. And I hope that, like I said, we don't get bogged down in turf and what district is in. Let's look at people, the people up there, regardless of where they come from, their gender, age, or sex, or nationality, or who, whatever. People are suffering. They need water. They have children. They have senior citizens up there, and also they have growth. So let's try to continue a negotiation and solve people problem. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I can interrupt, that does bring a good point up. I didn't mention the part if Blanchard decides not to come up with a 27.5. We have, you know, there's still the 27.5, if accepted, is still on the table. If Blanchard says no, our Donna and Henry have been looking at options to figure out a way that we can enter up in some sort of an agreement, hopefully to kind of pay off that USDA debt and further transfer the ownership of the East Mooringsport system over to Blanchard or to somebody. So we're still trying to work that avenue. That may end up coming back before y'all to vote.
We'll know more about that after tonight's meeting.
That's correct.
I would hope we would know more about that after.
Yeah, we might be back here.
Chairman, but we could enter some type of agreement to recoup that loss once they get back on their feet. You know, there may be a tax in place where they may get back on their feet. We enter some type of agreement where they could pay us back, you know, $1 or whatever, whatever it is that's comfortable for them. So it ain't like we're just going to give it to them. We can help them along their way. All right? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Escaday?
Okay, let's just try to move some clouds from this thing. We're not talking about a municipal water system. We're talking about a private system that's going bad, right?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay,
It's in the rural area, not in a town at all.
I got all that, thank you.
I know you did, but I didn't know if the other ones did.
Quiet, Lindor. Okay, so, but is Blanchard currently operating the system?
No, sir.
How are these people getting water?
They're
Through their bad system?
through their bad system with volunteers who live on the system doing it themselves without a certified operator, without an office, without a person.
Okay, so
who
that
normally
means the
takes
water
bills.
is probably, they're worried about maybe it getting treated right and all that kind of stuff without a certified operator. Okay, but they've got water.
That's correct.
And so the USDA doesn't like that. It's fixing to, as you said, send eviction notices. Now, what the hell is that, an eviction notice? They're going to throw them out of their houses or what?
The DHH, the USDA has the loan. They're the ones that loan.
DHH is going to evict them.
The
What's that mean?
DHH says that if you do not have running water in your house, they don't care about the quality, but it's for sanitation purposes. Just like we had at Wells Island, they'll issue, when the water finally gets shut off, if the water
Who's
gets
going
shut
to shut it off? Who has to
DHH,
pull the trigger? State DHH.
state DHH could pull the trigger right now to shut them off because they don't have a qualified operator.
They're going to shut water off to citizens. The governor's going to allow that. The state legislature is going to allow that. They're going to, okay, I'm just speculating here. They're going to make news. They're going to turn the water off to these people and tell them, you're on your own?
No, sir.
Okay.
They could do that now because the folks that are running it are not certified. But it's when the folks have already said, they told the DHH that we're only going to do this for a short period. You need to find someone to take this over. That deadline was like this weekend. So when they finally do walk out, then the DHH doesn't have a choice because they don't have certified operators. They don't have anybody else who could do that. So at that time, they feel that the system has been abandoned. They have no choice but to go out there and shut it off.
They have no choice.
They don't.
Well, that's a voluntary act to cut the water off, the system off. You think those people care if they have a certified operator or not, if they're getting water? I'm not beating up on you. I'm just raising questions here. You think they care? And so what? You're saying DHH is fixing to create a problem for this body, this parish?
The reason why they called us.
Who called you?
The Department of Health and Hospitals called us.
Oh, to say we're fixing to put the screws to you? Just to make your citizens
not
in
in
Caddo
those-
Parish?
Not in those exact words.
Well, that's pretty much what they're doing. We've established the corrupt and evil nature of DHH. Now, let us speculate. Now, Blanchard's involvement in this, are they right in proximity to the system or something?
Yes, they're in very close proximity. They can make the tap
How
in.
does Blanchard help the situation if they would choose to?
Blanchard, when their new system's up and running, they can tap into the new system and feed them with new water out of their new plant without a problem. They could also do one of two things.
They
with
can
that
do it
in the
right
case,
now. They have the ability
they
to
can
tap
take
into
over
it.
right now. Their operator can operate the existing plant that they have now and take over the receivership just like it would normally would right now if they wanted to.
So, Blanchard could take over this system and then do whatever they need to eventually to run the water through, well, one, they'll have an approved operator. That solves the biggest problem right there.
That's it, yes, sir.
The collapsing, I guess, and age of the infrastructure is another issue.
That's correct. Now, keep in mind, the only infrastructure that we know that's in really collapsing problem is the actual treatment plant itself. The actual distribution center within the right-of-ways of the parish and the states are in pretty decent shape because they're the ones that were used that $150,000 of USDA debt to build.
Okay, so
we have confidence that's built
long
strong.
term, them getting potable water, that's really not the problem. The problem is short term, it's the operator situation, and DHH just being a bunch of dipweeds about the thing.
And the debt, because Blanchard,
Let me finish, I'm talking to him, thank you. Please? He makes a lot more sense than you, if you don't mind. Now, so, what's that asset worth, that little water system? Does it have any value?
$27,500.
No, $27,500, okay. That's what, to pay off the federal loan, right?
Yes, sir, it actually has.
But is it worth anything? Is anything worth it? I mean, something worth something?
I mean, it's worth something. Yeah, obviously,
What?
revenue. The numbers I had that at the end of the day, I think it made about $160,000 a year, and it profited about $2,000 a year after all things were paid.
Profited $2,000 off $168,000 gross revenue. But it's operating at a nonprofit, so it was supposed to break even. But they had operators that were paying. Well, what expenses did they have outside of just the cost of water?
The cost of water. And remember, that'll go down when they were able to get off of treating water and buy water at a bulk rate from the city of Blanchard.
How many operators? What were they paying in salaries? I'm trying to get a figure.
Probably about $40,000.
About $40,000 a year. So it's got a $42,000 annual income attached to it.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Some of the equipment, something's got to be worth something at salvage value, right?
No doubt.
Do you think that exceeded $20,000 maybe?
Sure.
20? Okay, so, and I know I've got a Blanchard alderman here, don't mean to pick it. I'm wondering, what's Blanchard's problem?
Your guess is as good as mine.
They don't want to pay. Okay, but they got a bargain deal, which we've negotiated for them. They could help their neighbors out, their residents out. We've gone up there and we're spending $800,000 in that Walmart thing so they can annex it and get a 1% sales tax coming. And they're going to not work with us to solve this problem and dump this crap in our lap? It's just a question. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith,
Mr. Ward and I have been talking now for 30 days trying to get together a meeting for the Natural Resource Committee on water. This issue up there down in South Caddo, as you probably know, I've talked a bunch of time about Four Corners, where I only have one operator and he wants out. So we have the same issues down there. I guess the only good thing that's come across, and I think I called you about it, Commissioner of Conservation did lift the restrictions on South Caddo because our water level is coming back. You probably have seen some of that. But as soon as he quits building bridges and gets some time, we're going to get together and have a water system conference that we badly need to get together on. So I'm sorry that we haven't been able to do it. It's not his fault. Everybody's working him to death, honestly, but this is a serious problem and we must work on it and get it solved. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, I guess listening to you talking to Commissioner yesterday is basically saying that it made a profit each year.
Potential. The numbers that I saw, and it was just briefly, showed that they had about $2,000 after expenses, expenses, revenues, $2,000 left over. Now, if they put that back in the infrastructure, if they went to Vegas, I have no idea what they did with it, but the potential is there. And of course, I looked at their cost to make water, and I realized that that number could go down quite a bit if they were buying bulk water at $3.75 that Blanchard's willing to sell for it. That number goes up drastically. So the potential is there for them to make money at it. The customers there. The problem is, Commissioner, I think is and I'm going to preface this, they haven't been paying their USDA debt since 2004. So maybe if they were starting to pay off some of that debt back, which I don't know what that cost would have been per year, I guess that would have probably been more than $2,000 per year. then they probably would have been more in the red than in the black. But it showed being in the black, but if they did a little bit better job of upfront with if they're creating cost of the water, I think they could be in a black system easily. They haven't raised rates in forever. Their rates are half of what the town of Blanchard would charge, so their cost of water is cheap, but the residents there feel, since they're kind of a cooperative, feel that poor water should have a poor pricing structure. Well, they're about to get really nice water, so their pricing water should go up quite a bit.
Okay, so you're saying they hadn't paid their debt since 2004?
That's correct.
So, based upon that, what's going to keep them from pulling the plug so fast? And that's 10 years they hadn't paid the debt.
Yeah, Commissioner, I think the USDA told us they've already started the foreclosure process on that outstanding debt. So that is already underway. So we were trying to circumvent that by making sure there's no interruption in the services that they would get, but get better quality water.
Okay, so if Blanchard tonight votes not to do this.
Yes, sir.
Plan B.
We had to get the citizens to petition 61%, which is our guidance that we've had from other endeavors. Then they'll petition the commission, and then that will be brought before you, and we will tell you what that is, which is the number, the 27,500. And then if that seemed to be the stumbling block, then hopefully Blanchard would take that over. And we asked Blanchard, could they just assess each person maybe $15 and $20 extra to pay the parish back that money? So that's what we were looking at as option B.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Escudero, you got anything else?
Yeah, I do. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Okay.
Have you run the numbers? If Blanchard would take over the system, the water rates for these people probably double.
That's correct.
What's the run out period from them recouping that $27,000? Have you run the numbers on that to see?
I would say about a year and a half.
Well, which one have you got
Probably
the figure?
less than that.
Yeah, I did the calculations at the meeting.
Got an engineering degree too?
Yes, I do.
In
Industrial engineering technology.
That's industrial
Bachelor's
engineering.
design.
I'm talking mechanical engineer.
Master's license in mechanical HVAC with the Boise
Well,
City.
good. It's warm in here. Go crank it. Go crank the AC.
$44,000 in 1 year.
$44,000 in 1 year. Wait. That's net revenue or gross revenue?
That's gross. I don't know what the cost of it would be, the additional cost of creating the water.
Okay,
but
so they could recoup their thing. Okay,
I would
listen.
think so, yes, sir.
We've got DHH going to create a situation that's going to fall in our lap, okay? And we're going to have to deal with it because we're just sitting here dealing with it. We've already tried to preempt it and make peace. As far as what I understand, you guys have gotten the USDA to agree to take the payoff.
That's correct.
Okay. So, now, so if Blanchard doesn't want to play ball, your solution is for us to buy it and make pay the debt and then give it to Blanchard? Well, I'll be damned.
And no, sir, that's not what we said.
Well,
we said,
that's what I heard.
We said, if Blanchard decide not to do this deal, and the system utterly just fail, there'll be a lot of folks up there without water, and they will be at our doorstep. And we would have we had to take the same methodology we have used in other situations where they have to have more than 61% of the citizen petition for us to get involved to help them solve the water issue. And then we would have to do some kind of assessment equation like we do in a 60-40 deal to assess these folks what that cost would be, and that's how we would recoup our money.
I understand it, but the end thing is that's our solution to get to the same place we're going to end up back with. If Blanchard doesn't take over that system, we don't have any way to get water to those folks.
Yes, sir, but the only issue, Commissioner Escudero, standing in the way is the debt. Blanchard would do it today if they didn't have the enormous USDA debt standing in the way.
$27,500.
Yes, sir. Before that, it was $150,000.
Oh, okay. So they haven't been presented with the new offer.
Yes, sir. We met with them last Thursday with the new offer, and they said we can work with that, subject to the vote of our council tonight. We'll know if we have the authority to go forward to make that happen. But prior to us negotiating, they were unwilling to touch the debt.
Well, I understand that was a whole lot of debt.
Yes, sir, it is.
So I'm trying to figure out what the issue is here today. You don't expect tonight's meeting to go well, or we're going to have an emergency situation on what date? When is DHH going to cut these people off? Do you really think they're going to do that?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I hope you guys get a message to Blanchard that I think we can work together somewhere and solve this out. We're talking about nickel and dimes here, and we can avoid a situation. But I'm also saying that the city and town of Blanchard doesn't want to work with us. That basically they're helping to create this situation that we're ultimately going to have to solve the long way. And I won't be happy if it takes that route. So that's all. Thank you.
Let's see. Commissioner Williams already spoken, hasn't
Yeah, she hasn't spoken. Ms. Baker.
Commissioner Lynn, you haven't spoken in.
Will you send us an email as to how the vote comes down tonight?
Sure.
Tomorrow morning? Thank you. That's all.
And Commissioner Baker.
Why do they have a debt with USDA?
They took two loans out, one in 1972 and one in 1996, to actually build infrastructure. The USDA has gobs and gobs of money out there that they can loan at a very cheap price for nonprofits such as water businesses. So they obtain the funding. Now certain tags are on it, like they have to certify all their projects through USDA. They have to be inspected to make sure that they're built to certain standards. And they are, and so that's the reason why they built infrastructure with it. So we know the infrastructure is probably in pretty good shape because it was built to USDA standards for them in order to get the loan to do that. So that's the reason why they had it. They are a nonprofit, so instead of taxing their residents or their coalition of homeowners, they just went out there and received loans, and that's typically how it's done.
I disagree with Commissioner Williams. I think we need to help these. This is people needing water.
Yes.
And I can't see us not helping them when they're having a time of need, so.
Right. And not to scare you, the DHH is doing everything they can. They could go out there today and shut them off because they're being operated by just citizens. They're just people out there who do want their water shut off, but they can't do it. They have lives, they have jobs, they have this. So they notified the DHH, said, look, eventually we have to stop this. And they threw out August 1 as a date, knowing that if they didn't give DHH something, this could go on forever. 2 years down the line, these folks who aren't in the water business are still in the water business, and nobody's done anything about it. So by giving them a date, and now knowing that people are working on a situation, it's easier for them to say, okay, I'm going to hang tight for a little while, give this an opportunity to go out. But I'll be honest, September 1 rolls around, we're not any closer. I don't think those folks are still going to be hanging out there. The last thing the DHH wants to do is issue a bunch of eviction notices.
Commissioner Johnson.
He spoke. I'm a phone. He already.
Yeah, Williams.
All right, Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to say to the administration, I like your offering compromise. I think it's wise, forward-thinking decision on how to approach and attack this analytically philosophical and intellectual on how we approach this problem. I couldn't consciously sleep at night knowing that people don't have water. And the water they drinking now, we're not sure if it's good water. They may have lead and everything in it because they don't have certified people. How could you sit on this commission and be a part of that? And you say, we pray and we do this pledge. And how can you constantly sit up there and don't want people to have water? Not because of the bureaucracy being caught up with Blanchard. That's not the people's fault. That they paid their bill, but Blanchard didn't handle their business. And they was led to believe that everything was supposed to be taken care of, and it wasn't. So it's unfair to put the people in harm's way who need water up there in Blanchard. And I think the offering compromise you may offer to them is a wise. You cut the debt down to 27-some thousand. It all depends on what happened tonight with the vote. In spite of what happened with the vote, we still caught up in the middle of this two-way love affair with Blanchard and the people. So we have to find a way to approach this intelligently and wisely and with a conscience and compassion for people that need water. So I hope that we continue in negotiation and make Blanchard officials understand the importance of working together in a spirit of compromise, not confrontation. We're not trying to be confrontational with them. We're trying to offer a solution as the mediator in this relationship that we have. And that's what we're doing. So I hope we continue to approach that in a problem-solving attitude. And it looks like what you're doing. And I'd like you to continue in that direction even after the vote tonight. I want to know as well what happened. But we still, at the end of the day, we still have to find a way to approach it and provide water. No different than what happened to the people on Well Island Road. with some of the same people that's sitting up here, then I want to help the people on Wells Island Road. So I knew this was gonna happen again, and regardless, it's my district or anybody's district, I'm for people. Doesn't matter to me, caught up in the bureaucracy and the red tape. We don't let these people down. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Cox?
You know, for years, we've been sitting up here, and I've said the same thing from the first year I was here till now, is that water is gold. No matter what district you're in, what part of the state you're in, north, south, east, or west. When something like this comes along, one, it should have been brought to our attention, whether it be through the community or DHH or whatever, way long before this. I do not like when the bell tolls 12 on an emergency and it deals with lives.
Yeah.
And when you deal with water and sewer and stuff like that, we've done deals with Blanchard before. We just got through with the deal with Blanchard on a water system, correct?
Laying pipe?
Yeah.
It was Old City and
Old
Vivian.
City, okay, up north.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
Yes,
and that
sir.
was a big deal.
Yes, sir, it was.
1.4 million worth. no less.
Exactly. So I would, like Mr. Lim says, I would like an email stating what happens in that meeting tonight. I also agree with Mr. Williams. This is, Martin the Plum, this is asinine for us to even be taking this discussion this far. We have a duty to represent the people of Caddo Parish, whether it's in District 12 or District 1, all the way into between. This is something that needs to be done and done quickly, and those people need to be satisfied.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's not their fault that they were hooked up to a company that booked out.
Right.
And that Vegas trip, that's probably where they were. Because they darn sure probably didn't do it in Shreveport, Bossier. So I support this. I support the administration. I understand that we have to come to an agreement. This agreement needs to be done quick. And I'm really surprised nobody has went in there and shut that system down, knowing that people are operating it without proper credentials. So let's do, and I appreciate all your efforts. Like always, you're on top. And let's get this done and get the support between the parties and get these people some relief. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson?
Is there any other water supply companies, systems in close proximity besides Blanchard?
Is that good?
East Cove is right next to it, but they're in the same problem. They have it's a private ownership who's in court and jail and all kinds of stuff, and they're in the process of being turned over to Blanchard at a no cost. So, other than that, Old City is a good hike from them. So Blanchard's right there. Blanchard has infrastructure sitting right there. It's a no-brainer for them.
Okay, thanks.
Ken, we're talking, so Blanchard obviously is a choice, you know, they had an agreement, I think, to do this, to provide water with their long-term plan and goal to provide water to these two systems.
Just provide water, $3.75 a
The
pound.
ultimate problem was the debt that they were going to have to incur of $150,000 that has now been reduced to $27,500 with the negotiations that we got involved in. Some of the stuff that Commissioner Cox had to answer, that I've been made aware of this system through citizens talking about it over the years. Hey, we got a problem, but nothing has ever been presented until, what Ken is saying, until the people who were operating the system voluntarily and not making any money finally said, we're not going to do it. And then the DHH starts, jumping on board, hey, you need to, which they should have done sooner. So, and the same thing with the East Cove. They really didn't get involved in it until everybody said, look, we're not going to operate the system anymore.
Bailed out on
And if you saw the pictures of that water tank, you would go, oh my goodness. I mean, you got wells that look like, I'm talking about welding, molding that's been just barely holding that water tank together. If it falls apart or something happens, it very well will be back in our lap. So hopefully, something will come through with the town of Blanchard tonight. I don't know. I know that y'all have spoken to the mayor, and I don't know who else, and I think he's optimistic, but the city council are the ones that are going to have to vote on that.
Yes, sir, the mayor and the board attorney.
Right.
And also one other person, the mayor brought an assistant with him at the meeting.
Are you going to the meeting?
The mayor is in favor of it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a vote in that, so he's recommending it. They check with their bond counsel. I think things are lining up, so we just have to wait and see how things go tonight.
What did, Ken, are you going to go to the meeting tonight, or is anybody, you're going to be there?
I'll be there, yes, sir.
Thank you.
They have two options on financials. One is to pay for it out of their operating. They don't think they have $27,500 available in their budgets just to pay for that.
Right.
And then the other option is they actually have a bond through DHH for $100,000 to actually make that transition to East Morningsport. I'm told it's not necessarily the opinion of DHH to pay off the debt of it, but it's actually to make the connection. So what they were hoping to do is that Blanchard would see fit to utilize the actual DHH bond money to make improvements to the system, like to make the connections and some improvements in lieu of actually having to spend cash and spend the cash to pay off the $27,500 debt. To me, I'm like Commissioner Escudé. I did the numbers real quick. I can see a quick payoff knowing they don't have to go to the Public Service Commission and ask for raised rates. They can raise rates within a matter of one meeting amongst the city council, and they can approve rates, and they can begin recouping their funds on the $27,000 awfully quick and utilize their bond if they choose to now to actually make any improvements if they want to, and paying that bond back at a very low interest rate. So,
but they were going to use that bond money to do improvements, right?
They were, but there's not that much to do, from what I understand, of the full
It's not
$100,000
worth to do.
Yeah, that's correct, yes, sir. So they received the bond money, kind of some of that work that they went to do for their plant and stuff, and not necessarily having to spend it all. So those are the options they're looking at. It's all up to the town council now to make that mind up.
Okay. All right, well, Commissioner Baker, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to say this, that, unlike Commissioner Cox, one thing, it's just too much, this is too much and too important to be discussed during an administration report. I think this should have came up to us before now.
Well, it just
I know you said that you've been hearing about it for a couple of years or so. I don't know if it's any way that we can get this information to us before it gets critical like this. I mean, even if the commissioners have this issue going on in their districts, and if you know about it, I mean, before it gets real critical, can't you say something to somebody, even if it's not our responsibility, if we are even considering it, or even if you hear people coming to you talking about it, rather than to wait to the last minute till it's like detrimental to the people, and then we're discussing this detail like this in administration report, when I think it needs to be discussed at another time or somewhere else. I mean, this is sounding like a committee meeting where we're going back and forth.
The problem was all the the stuff that fell in our lap.
Yeah.
Just last week.
It's Thursday.
It had to be brought up today. So.
Well, you say you've been knowing about it.
I've been knowing that there were some issues and problems. I've had a couple of constituents call me over the last years and just trying to give me an update and say, look, we got problems with this water system out here, and it has to do with the debt, and that was pretty much what I knew.
Oh.
But I didn't know the water system was fixing to fall apart, and I didn't know the people were fixing to walk away like that.
But when you guys that have these issues in your districts, and especially in the parish, and you have constituents coming to you saying it's an issue, do you just don't say anything, or what do you do? Do you tell our administration? Do you tell Ken and Robert? I mean, what do you do? Just listen at them complain and not do anything, or what?
No, we'll try to do what we can do, but it wasn't at the point that the time that I've talked to, and there's been one person that's called me twice over the last, I guess, 6 months or a year to talk, and I spoke to her about it and told her we were trying to work on it. So.
Well, I just think it should have been in a committee. I mean, as much as we're talking about it, and as details we're talking about it, I think it should have been in a committee versus administration report. It's been already 30 minutes or more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Escudé?
What happens when you take a month off? You got to deal with a lot of stuff all at once.
I am hopeful
we're talking about $27,500. We're not talking about a lot of money to avoid a catastrophic problem. And that if as a result of tonight's meeting, if Blanchard would want to move forward, if they are lacking the upfront resources to pay off that debt right now, I'm sure, regardless of what some in this room may say, there's some reason, some way we can work an agreement without them to bridge them, provide those funds until which time they can recuperate them.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a matter of can't do, it's a matter of figuring out how to do it. So I think this can be resolved. Hopefully, I want to send that message to them. It's crazy to let it get to this point. And I guess in my closing comments, I want to tell you, Ken and Robert, how much I appreciate them. I'm not speaking of any other department in this parish right now, but I can tell you right now, you guys work. You do your job. You're on it. You know, I appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
You work?
Commissioner Smith?
That's a big 10-40-year statement. You know, it's like this could happen in my district tomorrow. I've already told you guys this, and I can't do a friggin' thing about it until I guess it explodes. And just like they can't up here. So we did know about it. We do know about it, but we can't do anything about it. So just like they can't, but now we have to solve it. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Cox?
Quick question. We have quite a few of these water companies in our parish. Who do they report to, and can we ask them to give us reports every 6 months as far as usage, repairs, output, you know, to see if see the storm before the calm. You see what I'm saying? Is there any way we can force these guys or these companies to work with us so we know something's fixing to break?
Well, prior to 2012, the DHH was kind of the one that watched over the systems. And they didn't have the same approach to how they manage stuff. But as of 2012, now the Public Service Commission is the one now that receives the annual reports, that looks at any kind of rate increases, that looks at how much they spend for cost on what it costs to cost water, what they're doing with their money, because they are a nonprofit. So Commissioner, there's a lot of them out there that I don't think we would want to be gathering the paperwork to try to that they got to go through every year. But the Public Service Commission is trying to. They're pretty snowed in on how many systems there are in our region. There's quite a few of them. And the document is about 26 pages long that has to be filled out on an annually basis. And there's about half of the systems in Bossier and Caddo, water systems, that are not even in compliance with the Public Service Commission because the amount of effort it takes to complete those forms. So you can, just like Public Service is finding out, you can ask for it, you can even mandate it, but they're not getting it. The only caveat they have is that, well, you're not going to raise any rates, or you're not going to be able to do anything that affects that customer until you get up to standards. So in both of these systems, or those systems, they've been out of compliance since 2004 in one case, and they have never filled out the paperwork for the Public Service Commission at all.
So they've been out of compliance, but yet they were still taking the money from the citizens.
Sure. Sure. There's nobody to stop. They can't go in there and stop them from operating as a company, but they can stop them from raising rates.
Okay, but still in all, they're making money even though the water system is going down.
Sure.
Boy, that's
what they do with us.
I need to get me a loan.
That's what they do with us in the city.
USDA is offering a real low interest rate right now. They hit us up the other day pretty hard.
Right. Okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
Dr. Wilson,
Yes,
next
sir.
item?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to get to this quickly.
Please do.
Yes. I just want to remind you all, we have OPAO convention starting here this Wednesday. Mr. Jimmy Whittington is our president for OPAO, and that will be here. We invite you all to come and join our activities during that time. We'll have the schedule we'll provide you all as well. And just want to remind you all, our Region 4 meeting will be taking place here August the 15th. I know Commissioner Epperson Sr. and Mr. Cox are part of that. Last time we hosted over at the Municipal Auditorium. This time,
I'm coming.
This time, Bossier is hosting it over at Margaritaville. Okay, the last item I have for you, Commissioners, I just put at your station a letter actually I wrote to Commissioner Matthew Lynn with respect to the Fort Wade facility. On July 1st, we received that back officially from the state. It was in deplorable condition, and we had to spend a lot of time out there in effort to start bringing the facilities back up to standard. The Caddo Parish Sheriff had provided us some inmates to go out there and help clean up. And this, for example, from the 24th of July to the 31st, we collected 24.5 tons of trash and about 10.4 tons of scrap metal from the property out there. They had all the utilities off, and we are trying to secure the utility. The facilities were vandalized. Wow. The state just cut off utilities and took what they needed and walked away from it, left it unsecured, and we had to do a lot of work. So what I've provided you is a action plan that address what the issues are out there, and with phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And I know since it's a park, I addressed this letter to Commissioner Matthew Lynn because the administration is asking you all for some directions what you would like to see happen out at the complex. We have it back. We have 5 houses. They're abandoned. We're recommending that we get those brought back up to speed so we can have someone live out there that perhaps having a presence would deter the vandalism from occurring out there. And certainly we want to safeguard the facility. It's a nice facility, a complex, but like I say, the state walked away from it, and it was not given to us the same way we gave it to them initially. Mm-hmm. So I'm disappointed about that. But anyway, I just want some direction from you all. I've expressed that.
I'm going to get to it.
But maybe not higher enough in the chain of command. But I certainly would need some directions on see what y'all want to do with it. Mr. You had a presentation from Mr. Gentleman that came with wanted to recreational use of the facility. Mr. Hedier, I believe.
Bill
Hammeter. Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. He had put forth an idea, perhaps that could be used as a short-term measure until we can determine long-term what to do with the facility. So it's real nice not to use it at all, and certainly please provide me some guidance on what y'all want me to do with the facility. We're doing what we can to fix it up, and we did recommend in this writing to you all that we execute phase 2, which is $157,000, and that will bring all the houses up to speed. And I also indicated where the money could come from within this document. We had a project over at CCC, the roof repair came in under estimate, so I thought we could probably use some of those funds to work on the Fort Wade Correction Facility as well. So at your leisure, please let me know. And President Dominic, that concludes my report for today. And Ms. Baker, in the future, I'll try to keep my comments brief, ma'am.
We've been gone.
That ain't going to happen.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Whoa.
You got to
Whoa.
talk, people want to
Whoa.
talk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Please try to be brief if you can, guys. Mr. Escaday?
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, have we reviewed the original contract with DOC, and did it provide for any specifications on how that property and what condition it should be returned to us in?
Mm-hmm. I looked
we have or we haven't?
I had looked at it once upon a time, sir. It did not address how it should come back to us.
It
just
wasn't
said,
in our agreement.
right, it just said non-continuous use for 2 years, the property automatically revert back to us. It didn't have any language in there as to how that should be. But, you know, common sense being what it is, if we give it to you at night, you should have given it back to us the same dang way.
Yeah, that ain't going to happen.
Well, I'd suggest at least, once we get it done, I'd like to just pass a resolution shaming them, telling them how disappointed we are in it and sending them a bill.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Thank
I
you.
agree. I agree.
Mr. Cox?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say, but put it in a more harsh term. If you're going to give up something, and I'll make this quick, you're going to give up something and say, well, we're going to give it back to you on a certain date, you're still responsible for that to keep it up.
I agree.
Now, I see in your phase 2, unless we put some security out there, I would not put any AC units out there, and I would leave the razor wire up. I know it's a safety issue, but you can still mark that property private, and I would talk to our attorneys as far as where our responsibility is if you're on that property illegally and it's properly posted. But I wouldn't put any AC units out there at $25,000 and then turn around and see them gone again.
Not if it's getting vandalized.
But I would say as well, let's get back to the state and ask them and send them a bill for everything that we've had to do just to get it up to par. Because we didn't give it to them that way.
Right, that's correct.
And I have been contacted by a few organizations who have questioned about that facility out there. So it's a need for some people, and there's an opportunity there, but why should we have to pay our taxpayers' money, even though the last bond didn't go with what we wanted to? We still, something like this, it has to come out of our money.
Yes, sir.
So I would say, yeah, Bobby needs to cut us a check and cut it before he leaves office. Thank you.
It's gonna be brief.
Mr. Everson?
Send them a bill.
I agree with Commissioner Escaday and Commissioner Cox. One question, the scrap metal that we salvage, did we sell it?
Yes, sir.
What did we make? We made
What we got
something off
here?
of it, right?
The
Okay,
scrap
just
metal.
put that in a pot, don't do nothing with it. And then the next thing is, suing. Everybody else suing.
Yes, sir.
They just sued us.
Suing. Whatever we've done at this point in time, send them a bill. I mean, this isn't anything new. You look at the Pines Treatment Center on the corner of Greenwood Road and Pines Road. It's absolutely deplorable.
It's horrible.
And maybe if they're in property standards violation, I think we should cite them, Mr. Demache. I don't know what they've done with that over there, but, and then I'm gonna turn it into the city. They need to cut the grass, they need to clean it up. So, I think we got a deal here, and I don't look for it to fall back on us financially. Thank you.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Commissioner Thibodeau?
Except for man.
Ditto.
Commissioner Thibodeau hadn't said a word all day, got one. There you go.
That sounds like a text message.
Quiet all day long.
Brother
Maybe
Mike.
you can get with our attorneys to see if they can draw up some type of options on what we could do, because obviously the commission body feels very strongly about obtaining this facility back, but in a deplorable condition. Is there any options, legally options, what we can do in our pursuit? Maybe they can get with Henry and Donna and see what they can come up with, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, nobody else on board? Next item?
Okay, the committee report.
Okay. I know we've been gone a month, but we'll be here a month and get through this meeting. Okay, Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I know we've been gone for a while, and I know that we have a property standards meeting coming up, but in front of everybody's chair, there is a complaint, and this complaint basically talks about the conditions of what a person has to walk out and look at next to them. There's used tires, unused cylinders, trash. Basically took a mechanic shop and brought it to a residential area. And people are getting tired of this, especially the ones that are moving into the rural area. It's a neighborhood, but at the same time, they feel that they should have some type of standards in place. We do have some in place, but they don't have no teeth to them. You rely upon the constables and the justice of the peace to enforce the ordinance, but it doesn't happen. This young lady has called and talked to almost everybody under the sun in local government, and still there's no justice to be done. She was threatened by her neighbor. Sheriff department did come out, but nothing was really done. They talked to the renter of the property, and nothing really was done. She came down here and she talked to Mr. Dumache. Mr. Dumache advised her to go back to the sheriff's office to talk to the Sheriff Prater, and basically let her know that we changed our ordinance so that constables and the justice of the peace were the ones who were supposed to be enforcing it. She also went to the person who owns the property and showed them what was going on. That person in turn told them that, well, go talk to the renter's father. So she went and talked to the renter's father, and during the conversation with the father, the son cussed the father out. So, you know, there's no, people shouldn't have to call us. And I've been getting calls ever since it started getting warm. This is not the first one, had a couple of more, but it's all about either junk in the yard, tall grass, deplorable conditions that, you know, they're staying beside. And when we had our meeting before, we talked about, you know, how we enforce this, bringing in a crew, coming in, cleaning it up, but then you run into, well, how you get paid back. We got to come up with something. People are getting upset about it, and I hate getting calls saying, call me as soon as possible. It doesn't matter what time of the day or night that you call me back, but call me back. And they shouldn't have to do that. We should have a process. They have a complaint, fill out a complaint card, or they do like they did on this one, and it should be taken care of. I mean, there should be steps in place, and people don't do that, they should end up in jail. I mean, it's a crime. I mean, to have conditions like this is a crime. This woman said she was almost hit a couple times bagging out her driveway because she can't see because of this wall that's been put up. So we got to do something different than what we do. I don't know if any other commissioners had the same kind of problem, but you know, it makes us look bad that we have stuff on the books, but it just writing, and nothing is done. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Baker?
Just want to comment on Commissioner Johnson's problem. Somebody needs to take a look at what the city does, because the city don't play in the city. You know, the parish, we have different whatevers, but the city send out letters. They don't give you no 1, 2, 3 chances. It's one letter, and you got to get it done. You got to get it taken care of, or you're going to get a tax bill. It's going to be attacked to your taxes. You need to clean that mess up, or else we're going to send somebody out there to clean it up, and we're going to charge you to pay for it to get it done. So they don't give you no chances. They just, boom, send you a letter, say you need to get it done. You don't get it done, then they'll get it done, and they're going to charge you for it. So that's what we need to do. All these 1, 2, 3 chances, and you know, giving you this date to get it cleaned up. If you don't get it cleaned up, give you another chance. That needs to be cut out in 86, because that kind of stuff is just, it's senseless to have that kind of, that's just senseless. Nothing like that in the city would be going on in a neighborhood. It would have been taken care of, Commissioner Johnson. So, I mean, somebody, whoever's department this is, maybe they need to take a look at what the city of Shreveport's doing and see if they can mimic what they're doing. That's not what I would push this button. If I push this button to talk about, the evaluation committee had a meeting today and did a mid-year evaluation on our commission clerk, Todd Hopkins, and our administrator, Mr. Wilson. And I'm asking all the commissioners, if you will, Todd emailed the evaluation forms to you, if all the commissioners would please do an evaluation, a mid-year evaluation on our commission clerk and our our Caddo administrator, and get it to me as soon as possible. We did make some recommendations on possibly doing some changes on the form. Todd's going to get with Human Resources to see about getting some changes made to the form. But I would appreciate it if you all the commissioners who has not done a mid-year evaluation on the clerk and administrator, please do so as soon as possible and get that information to me. The changes that we were looking at making was to, that like it has BE below expectations, meeting expectations, and exceeding expectations. It's just not anything in between. It's just those 3 items. So we're looking at getting a scale made, and also looking at some other changes possibly on the evaluation period, the time of the evaluation, and just kind of making the form a little bit more conducive and a little bit more information. and also putting a place on there for commissioners who do the evaluations to be able to sign the evaluation, because it only has a place on the evaluation form for the president to sign. So it needs a place on there for the commissioners to sign as well. So that's what we're looking at. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Cox.
I hate to go back to the dump site that's Mr. Johnson was talking about, but when we had a committee that Mr. Dumachet and I worked very hard on to change the laws in Caddo Parish as far as how somebody would take care of their property outside the city limits. And in doing so, we thought as much teeth as that we could in it to support not only the constables that we asked to actually go out and handle these problems, but the JPs who would oversee this. Now, as we went forward, we had a few meetings with the JPs and was astonished that we got the response from some of them that says, well, we're not going to write any tickets and make them do anything simply because they're voters. Or we're not going to have this little old lady have to clean up her yard because she's home alone, or more excuses than actually getting the problems done. I have been, and I want to try to work on this before I leave here as commission. We are going to revamp the districts and get down to 4 as far as officers, constables in this area, because we have some that don't want to do anything, and even when they're told to do it, it's up to them whether they get out and do it or not. I think if we attack this problem head on and show people that the ordinances are there, we just need the support of the JPs and the constables to do their job. I think we can get rid of these problems, and we can only do that with the support of all 12 commissioners and the state, because we have to go through the state to take the districts down. And that's something I will be working on heavy in the next month or so.
We'll work together.
Sir?
We'll work together.
There you go. Thank you.
Commissioner Epperson?
Calling the Property Standards Committee meeting for Monday, August the 18th, 12 noon. I think we've already given notice as to the participants, Mr. Hopkins?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to let everybody know in advance, so everyone that's concerned with this situation, please put on your calendar and make plans to be there. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson, you already spoke. We've got Commissioner Williams.
Yes, too, Mr. Chairman. I think this need to be well thought out long-term in Commissioner Epperson's committee. I do think when the Unified Code come on board, I hope it'll come into fruition. It would address some of the problem we're facing in the rural area. So one reason people move in the rural area is to have that type of freedom. However, it shouldn't be at the expense of a neighbor in a residential area. And we need to have a strong, not only enforcement and citation, but also a compliance as well. So I do feel that Commissioner Cox is right and Commissioner Johnson is right as well. We do need to have some teeth and some muscle into our policy and our ordinance to amend the changes in the 21st century. Because some of our policy and some of our ordinance are outdated. And we need to upgrade our policy and ordinance regarding the property standards. And if our justice of the peace and constable are not going to do their job, and they are elected positions as well, how do we address that and have maybe a plan B as well if the state would allow us to do that? So yes, people need to keep their property up. Just appreciate the property value, and seeing this ugly sight, I don't want to live and appreciate my property next to what I've seen here. This is despicable. And they shouldn't have to take the law to their own hand and enforce the law themselves as a citizen. So I feel that we need to find a way to help the distressed areas like this. But here again, one of the reasons people move in the rural area is to be able to have that freedom to do such things like this, but it shouldn't be in a residential area. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Thibodeau?
I think that the constables and JPs are up for re-election.
They are.
So, might ask that lady if she wants to run for JP constable. I mean, really, that's the quickest way is to get somebody new in the job. And the second thing was, since this is an ordinance of the parish, it may be that in serious instances like this, we might want to go to the sheriff and see if he can help us out. This is something that needs to be taken care of right now, and it may be that the sheriff would be willing to help us in special situations, since it's his job to enforce the ordinances of the parish. So a visit to him and request his help might
You've been out to the house.
be worthwhile.
Sheriff has? Yeah, that's what the report said. Okay.
Commissioner Johnson?
You've been to the
Yeah, I forgot to mention a couple of things too. Stephen, this also is in the 5-mile radius of the NPC. So we'd like to get y'all on board too on enforcing the zoning because of the business in the residential area. Also, Mr. Everett, can you come up?
Yes, sir.
With Caddo having at least 4 cases of the West Nile, what are we doing to educate the public? Or what are we doing on our side to be more proactive and try to make sure that we don't have any more cases?
We've done several news stories, sir, to get the information out to the public, to make sure that anybody that's going to be out during dusk or dawn hours, to make sure that they are very proactive in protecting themselves in regards to mosquitoes. The pocket of West Nile happens between June and September. That's when we start to see a big influx of cases. So we're trying to make sure that everybody understands they're going to be out to protect their extremities by wearing long sleeve clothing and pants on their extremities.
Have we been doing additional spraying?
Yes, sir. We've intensified our spraying in all the areas. We have 8 trucks going out simultaneously throughout the parish. It takes us about 4 to 6 weeks to spray, but as it rains, we have to start back over and continue the process. So as we see pockets where we have positive pools, we'll make sure we intensify that area and inform the people in that area to make sure that they protect themselves.
Okay. You mentioned the news. What about newspapers? Have we put any type of public announcement in there about?
No, sir. We placed some information on the parish website, but we hadn't put anything out. But we have brochures that we hand out whenever we go out. As far as the ACOs and the trucks, they hand these out as they go out on calls.
Can we put some of those brochures at probably the libraries and let people go by there and pick them up as they need if they want additional information about that?
Yes, sir.
I mean, we got those in pretty much everybody's area. So if we can put those in the library and say that's the point to go get additional information, that would be very useful for the citizens of Caddo.
Yes, sir. We can do that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Williams?
Thank you. Mr. Harris, I would like to address that. We know that school is beginning soon, and one particular area that concerns me every year is the Cherokee Park area with a large body of water, and senior citizens, and a lot of children walk by there. I see that the trucks have been rolling. I've got reports that it's been rolling. I hope that we continue to canvass that area in regards to ensuring that it's being sprayed. I think they have a neighborhood association. And also, Mr. Woodrow, I would like to invite the new levy board director here at our next meeting.
Ali.
I'd like to discuss the future of getting that cut and still how we can do it with any attorney general or ethics violation in the past. If we can find a way we can compromise and maybe do like we do right away. Maybe people can donate a right of way to the government where they can provide that cleaning and service.
Want him here.
Let's see how we can compromise with our
When do you want him here? Thursday?
Let's get with our attorneys on this and invite them to the meeting on Thursday. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the work you're doing. You're doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Work session.
Okay, next item, Mr. Carter.
President's
Jeffrey will be the
report.
quarterback at LSU.
We're gonna pass it till Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be quarterback.
We have no
Quarterback
old
LSU,
business,
ask
we'll
him a
move to
question.
new business.
Going to new business?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
If I may.
Yes.
I want to make a motion that we in Globo ordinances 54, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, move them to Thursday.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Escalay, second by Commissioner Lynn to englobo ordinance numbers 08, 09, 10, 11, and 12.
We'll discuss it Thursday.
We do have one, Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I just want to get some information on 5408. I don't have it. I looked at the minutes.
Okay, I'll give you a.
I know. So just wait Thursday.
Okay, any other discussion? Please vote.
Hey, that's what he's asking about.
My hand, yay.
Go ahead.
Todd, we need you.
What's wrong?
Just slow.
Help our president.
There we go.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Commissioner Escalay, please vote.
Thought it did.
Sir?
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioner Escalay?
Yes, I'd like to move that we in Globo resolutions 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42 move to Thursday.
I got a motion by Commissioner Escalay, second by Commissioner Lynn, basically to englobo the remaining resolutions to move them to Thursday, all the way to 42, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, please vote.
Got a board meeting.
And that passes 9-0. Next item.
Authorize special resolution for Purple Heart Recipient Day in Caddo Parish, Shreveport, Bossier City, and Bossier Parish.
Move for Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Williams. Please vote. Next item.
Authorize appointment of Mr. Marty Woolridge to the Ward 2 Industrial Board to replace Mr. Ronnie Allen, who has resigned.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Chair, seconded by Commissioner Lynn. Please vote.
He wants that?
Yeah. Commissioner Thibodeau, please vote. Oh, there you go. All right. Pass the next item.
Authorize the following reappointments to the Black Bayou Watershed
So
Commission.
moved.
Thursday.
Moved by the Chair, seconded by Commissioner Williams. Please vote. That passes. Next item.
Authorize Mr. Stephen Jackson as visitor for the regular session to present information regarding Cedar Grove CDC.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, seconded by Commissioner Potts. Please vote.
We don't need it. She can invite him.
Okay. Next item.
Consent agenda.
Nothing else, we adjourn.
Got it ready.
I can't believe in memory of Bob Brown. Hey.
You only did that because Stephanie wasn't here. She'd been grabbing it.
Where is Steph?